Okay, because we've had people before who bought the system hoping it could, you know, scan an entire slide at like 40x. You're gonna have to do it in like quadrants, because the pixel limit of this, you know, microscope, I mean, if you're trying to scan an entire slide at that high magnification, you'll run into issues. But basically, how you're gonna set that up is just go to 4x, so or you know, go to the lowest magnification that's in the system. I'm in monochrome. I mean, I could put on color mode, but we'll just leave it in monochrome for now. I'm going to click navigation right here first. Then what I'm going to do is click add. And this is going to scan around really quickly, just creating a quick 7:9 reference window, or it's going to stop when it hits one of the limits of the system. Or I could just basically tell it when to stop too. Again, this is just basically going to be like your reference on, you know, setting up your edges so that you're going to know what you want to stitch together. So, I mean, yeah, you can do this with the entire slide. I'll just do it with the entire cover slip right now.
Now, when you talk about limitations of the system, is that the scope itself, or is that like the CPU for the computer?
No, it's going to be the system. Like, I mean, basically well, it's all integrated. So we create the software and the hardware. So it's a limit of the software that we've created, basically.
Okay.
So if you can imagine that this grid right here is overlaid onto this image, and depending on which actual square my mouse is on, if I click there, it's what the field of view is actually going to move to. So you're actually going to use this to stitch together your slide. I mean, you could use, if you're doing the whole slide, you can see the limitations of the stage right here. So I mean, you could click right here and set this as point A, click here as point B, up top is C, at the bottom is D, and it'll do the whole thing for you at 4x, no problem. But if you're trying to get like a specific sample down, this will be the best way to do it. So you click XY stitching, and then make sure set edge points is selected. So I'm going to go right here. At a lower magnification, it doesn't really matter too much, but you're going to want to find focus, and then click set. I'm going to set my upper point, so right about here. Again, you're going to want to find focus and click set. You can either use your mouse wheel or just do move down and autofocus. It works all the same. The reason you're finding focus is because if the sample itself isn't perfectly flat, all the focal planes are going to be different. So when you set the focal plane, it's going to actually follow that gradient or that slope, trying to keep it in focus for you. Alright, so here's the bottom part of the sample. So again, you have to find focus, and then click set. So basically, I can kind of scroll around on here, and you see that green line? That's telling me the area that's going to actually get stitched together. So you can actually just reconfirm that your entire sample is within that green line. And I only set 4 points of focus, my A, B, C, and D, to capture it. But you can set up to actually 10 points of focus. So if you're at a higher magnification, the sample's not flat, I would definitely recommend taking advantage of all 10 of those points. Just find 6 arbitrary points in the middle of the sample. But once you got it all, it tells you here, it's going to take about 24 images. Just start capture. Not to get confused with capture right here. Capture just does a quick snapshot of the field of view. Start capture is what you click when you're doing like a series of images, like a Z-stack, you know, like the stitch here. Alright, so it does process pretty fast, about 24 images, 15 seconds. So then we'll just let this run. Alright, same idea as a Z-stack. You go to open image folder, and here's all of your raw data. Double click this. And again, instead of Z-stack being highlighted, you've got merge, so just go to load. And it's going to lay out all these images here side by side for us. Just click uncompressed and then go to start stitching. We do a 30% overlay with all of our images, so it gets rid of any sort of like shading correction or anything like that. So when you zoom in, you don't see any sort of stitch lines or anything like that. It's a very seamless image that it's able to create for you. One thing about this software here is this is our wide image viewer. This is only compatible with KTL file formats. I still don't know what that stands for. So it's like a Keyence proprietary format. Up until about a year or so ago, you could only save KTL formats with this. We realized that that's not very compatible or user-friendly amongst other softwares. So if you want to save this as KTL, go for it. It's only going to open up in this software. What I recommend doing It's going down to File, and then Export in the original scale. You can actually export this as a TIFF without losing any resolution, and now it's a TIFF. So once you save it as a TIFF, you know, you can X out of all of this if you want. It's still going to ask if you want to save this because it hasn't been saved as a KTL. Just click no. Exit out of this. Once you exit out of that, it opens up as a TIFF in here. This does lose a little bit of resolution compared to export in original scale. Just one thing to keep in mind for you guys. You can also, I'll do a really small one right here. So you can combine stitching and Z-stack as well. So basically what you do is at each point, so let's say I want to set this as my A point, right? I'm going to scroll up, set an upper limit, scroll back down, set a lower limit, and then I'm going to move coordinates. And then I'll do the same thing. I'm going to scroll up to set an upper limit. And then when I do this, it says, do you want to register a new point? It realizes that now we're in a new XY coordinate. We're going to want to set a different point, so just click yes. Scroll down, set my lower limit. You know, and again, you can use the navigation map to do this if you want to do like much larger. But basically, at all of your points, set a Z-stack, and then when you go to start capture, this is right here just letting you know that it's going to switch all of those Z-stacks to the largest Z range that you selected, so that the entire, you know, Z range, XY range, everything is uniform. So then, you know, it's going to take 2 bits, so 4 images. We'll just click yes. I'm going to let this run because I'm going to give you guys a couple different options here on how to actually stitch this together. So it says it's going to take about 30 seconds.